nothing but being brutally honest, coming at you with another video.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Steelers legend Levon Kirkland. Man, how's it going, bro?
It's going well. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, doing well, man. It's been like 2 months ago since I had you on, man. It was fun, but hey, man, this is an interesting week, man. We got the Steelers and the 49ers, two great historic franchise, man. What you looking forward to this matchup, man?
Well, I think it's going to be a great defensive game. If you look at both sides of the defense, the 49ers have probably been the best defense for quite some time. What they have in their front seven, especially, I really love their linebackers, what they bring to the table, and they're going to simply get off on a quarterback. Although they have changed defensive coordinators, you imagine a team like that is still going to be pretty talented, going to be pretty good. They're going to take ownership out there. But I think they're going against a Pittsburgh Steelers offense that seems to be a little bit more improved than what they were before. Kenny Pickett seems to be throwing the ball very well. They got some guys on the outside. So I think this is going to be a monster matchup. I think it's going to probably be the best game in the NFL for the first week.
I think it's going to be a low-score game. I think it's going to be more of a defensive battle. So I don't think it's going to be that exciting.
It's not going to be just guns a-blazing.
Yeah, not like those other games. But I think it's going to be a really good game. And you're right. Kenny Pickett's improved, and he could make the second-year leap. I've seen some progress late in the season that he actually improved better as a decision-making. So I feel like he is getting overlooked, but I feel like the kid's got talent.
There's no question about it, but also I like the changeup that they have in the backfield for the Steelers.
Jalen Warren.
They got two guys, and the new kid, I can't recall his name right now, but he's a nice changeup, and I think he's very explosive. Where last year, offensive line woes wasn't that great. If this game was last year, I'd be like, man, this is going to be a slaughter, but I think it's going to be pretty competitive.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty competitive, more of a physical type of style of play. I mean, your defense is really good. I mean, TJ Watt plays at a high level, but Ali Smith is overlooked, man. The man had 14 and a half sacks, and he got a good contract, man. That dude's a beast.
Well, he's a beast, and then Fitzpatrick in the backfield kind of have those guys under control. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. The linebackers, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the inside guys, we'll see what they're about, but they did kind of change that around a little bit. So I really feel like, this is a better defense than it was last year. And like you said, Highsmith is a guy who's very underrated at this point in time. But it's hard when you have a guy like TJ Watts.
Yeah.
And you're the other guy. Even by me saying the other guy, lets you know that he doesn't get the respect that he really truly deserves. But when you have two good outside linebackers in a 3-4 scheme, and both guys can really rush the passer, it makes it totally difficult for the offense because now you really don't know where to slide your offensive line now. Now it has to be evened up. You can't really double team. You can't take one guy away. And then in the 3-4, you can use all four linebackers to really rush the passer, show you some different looks. So with that scheme, it's also good. It's kind of the same scheme that the 49ers run as well.
Yep.
Well, actually, no, the 49ers
A
run
little
more of a
different. A little
four.
different.
Is it 4-2 or
It's a 4-3.
4-3? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think both schemes are, they both work. It all depends on who the players you got. And the 49ers got some dogs on that team.
Yeah. Like if you look at our linebackers, Fred Warner gets a lot of the attention, but nobody pays attention to Jared Greenlaw. Greenlaw's like,
Greenlaw's good too, man. He's real good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like when you look at Pittsburgh, the way they done well in the draft, like how do you feel about the draft, man? You guys got some dogs out there.
Yeah, I thought that they did very well in the draft, the last two drafts actually. So and usually that's the foundation, you try to build from the draft, and as far as free agents are concerned, you try to get guys who can come in and can fit and do a very good job for you. And Pittsburgh has a history of doing that, drafting very well and getting guys hand select from their free agent market to come in and play very well for them. So the draft in I think the last two drafts have been very good. I mean, to get Pickett as a quarterback, uh, that guy's a player. And then also when you look at Pickens on the outside as a wide receiver, I don't know if there's any, anybody that's as talented as him. That's a talented kid.
He's got the upside. I mean, usually the second year leap is what makes most quarterbacks come in. Like they have those rookie walls and all that stuff. But I think Kenny Pickett got better throughout the season. So it's like,
yeah, he has something about him. I won't put him in the Trevor Lawrence
not yet.
kind of guy. He's not that kind of prototype guy, but he's a guy that seems to have a little. He's a gamer, and if you surround him what they have surrounded him with, the young talent, it could be a go. I think their offensive line comes to play. They have an opportunity to go deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean the AFC North seems like very wide open. It depends on Cincinnati. I mean, you do got the Browns pretty stacked. The Ravens, when healthy, they are a good football team. But Pittsburgh, they're not too far off. I mean, they still got the same coach. They're just building differently. They're building a young culture, and you got to respect it. From a franchise perspective, if you're talking about how you want to build your brand of football, you got to start off with the Steelers. If I'm being honest, like you want to build a physical type of style of the team, Pittsburgh is exactly the team you want to build.
Oh, no question about it. It is something about the organization from the top to the bottom that really not only represents the city of Pittsburgh, but I think it also represents the finest in how to run a sports organization.
Yeah, like ownership. Like the ownership does a good job.
Ownership is really good. The coaching is really good. And the environment is really good as well. So when you bring in good players like that, they understand the legacy of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they want to be a part of that legacy. And it normally leads to playoff runs, Super Bowl runs, and teams that are very steady throughout their years. And that's how they've been, very steady.
Yeah, very steady, very consistent. Like Mike Tomlin has been a great coach for the tenure. Like he's only had maybe one losing season, if I'm mistaken. But other than that,
I don't think he's had a losing season, to be honest with you.
I can't even think of one. But I thought he had a losing season. But I think he was
not had like a 500 season, but
yeah, yeah. I don't think he's ever had at all nothing. Like he's been a really good coach, and he builds a great culture. So when you look at the difference between the Niners, how do you feel about Brock Purdy? How do you feel about him?
I like Brock. I do. I mean, Mr. Irrelevant, and he goes in and he wins. He goes down the stretch and he wins several games for you. And honestly, if he doesn't get hurt in the NFC Championship game, I think they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So I thought what he did last year was pretty impressive. I thought he came in and he played very well. Now, when people say you don't have the arm strength, I mean, it's all relative. I mean, depends on the scheme. Maybe he doesn't have to have arm strength like that. So, I mean, my father could throw a ball 80 yards, no lie. My dad could. but he probably wasn't that accurate. I mean, in quarterback situation, you want guys who can get the ball to the spot they need to get the ball to. And he seems to be the guy that can do that. Don't give me this, well, he doesn't have a strong arm, or so what? As long as he can get it there, that's the main part. And then also, I think he fits into what works against NFL defenses. A quarterback that can scramble out of situations, look downfield, and make plays. And that's what he does. And that's the reason why he is the starter. And I can't blame the 49er franchise for going that way.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, he showed up, he played well. The best organizations play the best players.
that's true. Like
They
you
play
got to go with the guy
players
to the hot head.
no matter how he's got drafted or whatever the situation is, they put the best players out there. And
Yeah.
he's their best player at quarterback by far.
Especially being the last pick of the draft, like he got passed on because he didn't have a strong arm, he was too small, like, and he played at Iowa State. Man, it's like the scouts are just not looking at the talent, I guess.
You know, I think sometimes you do get a little bogged down in the numbers and the measurements. And if a guy doesn't fit those measurements, you may frown upon him. But it's been proven time over time again that sometimes in certain situations it doesn't matter. I would like to look at, is he the exception to the rule? I mean, you want something to measure guys by, but when you really look at a guy, is he the exception? And if he's the exception, I think that's when you say, hey, let's take a chance on him. So he must have been, in the 49ers' eyes, the exception to the rule.
Yeah, build around him, make him successful. He's been excelling with the offense. So it's kind of been like he's been a veteran out there. Like the way he plays and the way he's huddle in the locker room, they look at him as a leader, and he got the captain too. So that's kind of crazy for this guy to be voted as the team captain and the leadership. This guy has the qualities of a Peyton Manning. He'll just yell at the players and tell them to get it right. That's a leader.
That definitely is a leader. I mean, that's what you. I mean, that's what you want. You want a guy that. Well, first of all, you can only yell at guys on this level when you gain the respect of the players.
Yeah, that's true. Respect is what matters in the business, because if they don't respect you, they're not going
They
to
don't
take
respect you. They don't listen to you. I don't care if you're a coach. If they don't respect you, they're not going to listen to you. And by his play, he's built trust as well. So he can get on guys a little bit. And I kind of like my quarterbacks like that. I like my quarterbacks who can push guys and say, hey, let's go. Let's get going. And you want that intensity. So he brings the intensity to the table. And the guy last year, he was impressive. And I'm sure he's going to take the next step this coming up season.
Do you think they got the book on the kid, or you think it's just a system with Kyle Shannon, or you think maybe he might be good?
He might be a product of the system. That's okay, though. There's nothing
It's
wrong with
okay.
that.
It was with Tom Brady.
If it's successful, then what's wrong with it? You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, I was a product of the 3-4 defense.
And you did well, so you had a great career, no matter how you look at it. Oh, but yeah. So you've been on a great defense, but then you finished your final career with the Seahawks too. But I guess this Rams.
I was with the Eagles actually.
Oh, you were the Eagles, but didn't you play for Seahawks also?
I also played for the Seahawks. So I mean, I end up being a good player, but I mean, when people say, "Well, he's a system quarterback," I don't really see anything wrong with it, especially if it's successul.
If he excels at it and it fits up to his strength, why not? It's working. Don't change what's working. I mean, if it ain't broken, don't change it.
You should never change it. No, not at all. You know, the only thing you worry about, will teams catch up to his style? And
that would be the question.
Be able to adapt to what different things that he may see now. So that was one thing also too. You didn't have a lot of film on him, so you know, it was kind of hard to kind of play him, but still, even that, man, he was impressive.
Yeah,
You're
no
right.
matter how you look at it, it was impressive.
No matter how you look at it, the guy went out there and he played ball.
Yeah, and he delivered, and he did exactly what he was told. So,
Amen. He did
oh,
deliver.
I guess this is an interesting question since you played your entire NFL career with the Steelers, but then you played with Seattle and other teams. What was it like playing against the Rams? I guess he called the greatest show on turf.
Oh, I played against those guys when I was with Philly. We actually won that game with a quarterback, AJ Philly, who was third string. But this wasn't the first year of that offense, but they were a little scary, to be honest with you. Um, I mean, they came out, man, and Kurt Warner came out of nowhere and just really shocked the league. So they were tough, but I come from that era of, like when the Dallas Cowboys were really good, the 49ers who really did a great job of running the West Coast, big players like Barry Sanders. So the best offense I would have to say was probably those early 90 Dallas Cowboy teams.
Yeah, because Aikman had the offense. He was very accurate at his passes and all that stuff.
Right.
And yeah, so I think like you said, it has to really make a difference. The system works. You don't need to change it. If that's the strength, you roll with the guy. But yeah, I mean, Dallas had a good offense back in the days. I mean, with Jimmy Johnson, even with Barry Switzer, they'd still won a Super Bowl. So they were a good offense.
Yeah, they won that Super Bowl against us, man, and we should have. We had an opportunity to get it done, but we didn't. So, yeah, I mean, mostly I tell everybody that the NFL, as far as talent is concerned, is not that much. It's really not that much difference. You ask what makes a difference, and normally what makes a difference, in my opinion, is the coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and also the environment where you come. I mean, that makes a difference. And if you look around most teams, you'll see that commonality where there is a great guy, great ownership, great head coach, great coaching, and also really, really, really talented players.
Yeah, it's just really how you look at it in that way. I mean, the way they build it, it was different. But
Mm-hmm.
like the offense that Kyle runs, it's very similar to what his dad ran with the Broncos. They don't usually go with the big names.
And I forgot about that offense with John Elway. Even though John Elway was a little older,
Yeah,
really probably didn't have as much zip on the ball, but still had enough.
to win.
That offense was tough.
Yeah,
Definitely tough.
and at that point, Elway didn't have to be the star. He had a running game. He
Right.
had some cast-off players that were low draft picks or didn't pan out for what they were.
Right. I mean, and that's what you look for. You try to identify guys that can mesh together. And when the chemistry is good, man, it can be a beautiful thing. It really can.
Yeah, chemistry and all the stuff that goes on in the locker room. But the fact that the Steelers have been very successful with 3 different head coaches tells you how it should be built. But, most organizations don't have patience for head coaches these days. They just want things to be delivered. And it
Well,
doesn't go that way.
Well, that's kind of a microcosm of society. From microwave popcorn to instant email, instant contact. People want it right now. They really sometimes don't appreciate how to build an organization, and that it does take time and it does take patience, and you have to be on the same page. And I mean, people just want to win right now, and sometimes it pays off when you can let your coach develop into a great coach, and we can let your quarterback develop into a great quarterback. We want instant stardom. And when we see another team have it, we want it. But sometimes great players like that don't always come around. Sometimes you don't have a franchise quarterback for the next 10 or 15 years. That number one guy that's no question, off the charts, can't miss. You don't always have that. So what do you have to do? You have to develop guys, and you have to coach them. And you have to be, try to be as patient as you possibly can. But everybody wants to win now, which I understand.
Part
That's
of the
all right.
business.
But sometimes you probably get rid of guys before they can really grow into the position.
Yeah, and some of them give up on them too soon, and sometimes they can flourish elsewhere. And for
Right.
those that didn't have patience, it might have backfired them. But since we're gonna go with the matchup wise with what's going on with the Steelers, so what's the keys for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get a win over the Niners, man? What's the main focus for the Steelers, man? Just
I,
three
I
keys.
think I think you got to keep their defense off balance.
Okay.
If you can dress it up and you can change things up, I don't think you can just say, "Hey, we're going to line up and we're going to run the sweep, or we're going to run the stretch, or anything like that," because they're too smart, they're too fast. They would destroy you. So
Yeah.
you really can't be predictable. You have to change it up a little bit. You may have to try. You may have to be unconventional, as I said. Maybe you have to go for it on. If you got 3rd and 15, maybe try to get as much yards as you can, and maybe you try on 4th down. If you just kind of play vanilla football, it's going to be tough to win against the 49ers defense. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's going to be tough. Like, you have to keep our defense on the field more, at least. Try to
Yeah,
work it out and try to find ways to confuse the defense. That would be a
which
good key.
which is going to be hard anyway. I mean, like, I don't know if you can just line up and just run the ball, but you gotta try to establish a run. You gotta try to be a physical presence, because if you're not, man, the 49er defense will just they'll mash you. And don't get into where we got to throw the ball 70% of the time. They're just going to just pin their ears back and get after the quarterback.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that would be important for you guys, is to find a way to keep our defense on the field and wear us out and find ways to impose our will. That would be the main key for you guys. Man, for this question, I would say it's going to be tough. I don't know. It really depends on how we hold up on the Steelers D line, because they're really good. You got a lot of dogs, so that's going to be a tough task to block. And I like this. I like this question right here, man. So Levon play with Steelers. Does Levon have any good Kevin Green or Jerome Bettis stories?
Yeah, well, Kevin Green was like my one of my pals on the team, and God rest his soul. And we used to play. Me and him would play little pranks against the offense, and it was all his idea. I didn't want anything to do with it, but it was all his idea. We would get in front of the film and we would do something stupid, juvenile. And the one story between me and Jerome Bettis is that me and Jerome, we went against each other one time, and that was it. And so we went against each other. I don't know if it was a stalemate. He got me or I got him, but we got together before the next practice, and we were like, dude, let's not ever go against each other ever again.
Guess he was
So,
afraid of you.
so Jerome Bettis and I, we never, like, in any kind of drill that running backs versus linebackers, anything like that, we never went against each other.
Oh, man. So I guess he just didn't want to face you because you were a tough guy. I mean,
Well, that
he's a big
I
running back
think
too.
that it gives a guy like myself a lot of the ultimate respect. But Jerome was a tough dude himself,
Yeah.
and we would have probably just hurt each other. Really,
It would have been like two Mack trucks running over each other. What's the
yeah,
point? I mean, you guys were two big individuals, rare positions, the biggest linebacker in football, and you had the biggest heavy running back. Jerome Best was about 255 or something like that, but he was
yeah. There was no reason. It didn't make any sense, to be honest with you.
yeah, it didn't
Why
make
why go against each other when you know? I knew Jerome was the key to our offense, and I was a pretty important part of our defense as well. So we decided that we're not going to go against each other. It worked out. We both played had long careers.
That's good. So, here's another question I like here. Since you were in this situation, since you were in the Super Bowl, for the Steelers, and you had Bill Cowher still coaching to this, to that day, Is it kind of fair for us to fire Kyle Shanahan if we lost another Super Bowl or something like that?
Gosh, man, it seems kind of unfair, to be honest with you. I mean, I think people don't realize how tough it is to get to the Super Bowl, how everything really has to come together. Injuries, um, favorable matchups in the playoffs, and also in the regular season. So things have to really go well for you to get there and to participate in the Super Bowl. So I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that you fire a coach that gets you to the Super Bowl. That's kind of, I mean, that's the point.
To get there.
And I think once you get there, you have to find a way to win it. No
Yeah.
matter if you're the underdog or you seem to be outmatched, you have to find a way to get there. I mean, I find a way to win it. So I wouldn't think it would be fair to fire a coach that gets you to the Super Bowl.
So it's all about getting in and hopefully winning it. So I guess for your situation, you were with Bill Cowher throughout that time, and he still remained the coach, and he had that one Super Bowl loss, but it didn't really define his legacy. He still finally eventually won one.
Yeah, and sometimes it's about, if you get there, that experience, especially with some of your players. I mean, when we went there the first time, I don't know if anybody even went to the Super Bowl on my team that ever even played in the Super Bowl, except for Mike Tomczak. And that was back in Chicago back in the day, 1985. Other than that, we didn't have a lot of players to play it. So, and then we went against a team that have already been there like twice and have won twice. So they understood what it took to win the Super Bowl. We didn't quite understand that, and we didn't really take advantage. And we also turned the ball over. So a lot of times, too, it's about teams that have been there, done that before, that experience factor that's there, your opponent that you're playing, how do you match up with them? So there's so many variables that matter. And hopefully those variables are on your side.
That's a good point right there. It's not easy to get to the Super Bowl at the end of the day. But before we get to those final things, we're gonna do a little quick one. So 5 players who you think is gonna break out for the Steelers. Like for just what players should the Niners watch out for? 5 of the Steelers players that you think might break out.
Well, I think Highsmith.
Okay.
Definitely. I think he's the guy that's going to be causing a lot of havoc. I really like I don't know why I can't recall his name, the running back that is kind of plays a backup role. I think that guy's explosive.
Oh, you mean Jalen Warden?
Yeah. He's the guy you look after. I think the tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's a guy that is kind of a typical tight end, but he definitely makes plays. Pickett is definitely somebody you watch out for. And the 4th guy, gosh. Did I say Pickett and Pickens?
Yeah, you said both of them, so I guess it's the 5th guy.
Yeah. So those guys are the guys that I think that can make some hay. And like I said, we'll watch the game. We'll see. There'll be somebody that come out of there and surprise us.
Yeah. Okay, that's understandable. But hey, before we end this, let's do a score prediction. You give me your prediction, then we'll see from there, and then we can call it a day, my guy.
God, it's going to be a close game. I don't think this game is. I think it's probably going to be within 3 points. I don't know if it's going to be even that high scoring.
It's 50-50, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be maybe. I want to say maybe something like 24-21.
Oh, so maybe a little bit of the 20s. I was thinking more of the 10s, maybe the 17-14, or maybe.
I was kind of going that way, but with how the NFL is designed nowadays, I think you can score a little bit more points. It's really slanted to the offense, so that's why I gave it that score. But I think 17-10 wouldn't be far-reaching.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't because the defense are pretty similar. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, so it can go either way. But, hey, man, it was a lot of fun, man. Definitely need to catch up with you once again. But, hey, man, it was fun, 2 months ago. It was fun to get somebody to do some Niners and Steelers week. But hey, man, good luck to your Steelers. May the best team win, man. But thank you for coming in, bro.
No problem, man. And good luck to your 49ers, man. It's gonna be a good show.
All right, man. Have a good day, my guy.
All right, bro. Thank you.